Today's video will be a hot take, and I'm known for those. So I will tell you today why so many content creators, streamers, pro players, casters, analysts, YouTubers are saying stuff that is just not true, or maybe straight up a lie about what is better. Is it Phantom or is it Vandal? Let's settle the debate, because my opinion, I think, is the one that is correct.
Wow, incredible!
And I don't think you're gonna like it. Today's episode is sponsored by Elgato. Go to elgato.com for the newest hardware for streamers, use the link from the description below and the code for 5% off. Thank you Elgato for sponsoring the stream. I can guarantee you that you can go on Twitch or YouTube, whatever, and ask anyone who is like a content creator, pro player, analyst, caster, whoever, what is better, Vandal or Phantom? And their answer will be, oh, it's preference. And to some degree, I can agree with that, because preference is something that clouds over judgment. People can choose something based on preference, even though something else can be better, or they just don't feel like it. And that's fine, by the way. If you think Vandal fits you better, that's great. If you think Phantom fits you better, that's also great. But here in this video, I'm going to talk to you about objective stuff that I think should dictate to you which gun to pick. So let's talk about it. A year ago, VALORANT showed the stats when it comes to the pick rate between Vandal and Phantom, and back then, the Phantom was being chosen by one player when other 3 players were choosing a Vandal, essentially, in both ranked and in pro play. So yeah, 75 to 25. That is not a great stat to think about Phantom being a superior gun, right? Yeah, but this is where the preference comes in. Let's talk about what are the basic differences between those two guns. The only thing that Vandal has going for him is the damage, because it just deals always the same damage. Doesn't matter what distance it is, you have the consistency of the gun. But that's it. There's literally nothing else that Vandal's better at. Has less bullets, doesn't have the same accuracy, doesn't have the same fire rate, doesn't have a suppressor. Like, the gun literally has no features. It's a bare bones gun, which kinda ties into the AK-47 that we have in real life. It's just a consistent gun, a consistent demon, if you like. And now let's talk about the Phantom, because the Phantom has many advantages over the Vandal. The clip, 30 bullets versus Vandal's 25. Then we have suppressor. Suppressor hides the tracers when you shoot through the smoke. Everyone knows that. At least now. But not many people know that the suppressor also hides the sound of shooting the gun from over 40 meters when you're not looking at the opponent. So essentially, unless you're being shot at by a Phantom, you're not gonna hear it if it's over 40 meters distance. That comes into play a lot of times, actually, but people don't even realize it because they don't hear it. So that's another feature. Then we have fire rate. Phantom is faster than the Vandal. It's 11 bullets versus 975. They both have the running speed the same. They both have the equips the same time as 1 second. Reload speed is also 2.5. But then the most important aspect of the Phantom that is straight up better than the Vandal, and that's the accuracy. Many people will tell you, if you want to shoot long range, go for the Vandal. And they talk like the gun is more precise. It's actually not. Phantom has better accuracy. So the Phantom's bullet deviation when you're standing still is 0.1 degree. So Vandal has 0.25, and many people will just ignore the numbers. They're like, yeah, bro, it's like just 0.05 difference. It makes no difference. Actually makes a huge difference. I'm gonna probably play some test footage right now out of me shooting in practice range with both Phantom and Vandal and make a comparison. And I made like 3 tests: a 30 meter one, 36 meters one, and a 50 meters one. Now 50 meters doesn't happen often in general. Like, that's something that happens maybe on Breeze or Icebooks from time to time, but most of your long range gunfights will actually be between 30 to 40 meters. So I was checking mostly that. And when it comes to Phantom, standing still, not crouching by the way, not crouching, not IDAcing, and shooting at a 30 meters range, Phantom hits almost entire clip every single time. 30 out of 30 almost every single time. Sometimes you will just get unlucky with 1 bullet. But the Vandal actually hits between 23 to 24 bullets on average when it comes to range of 30. Sometimes goes even as low as 22. Now, That is a huge difference. That's 10% of the bullets actually not hitting the target. So that is a big problem when it comes to longer range. And that only gets worse the longer distance we go. When we're reaching 36 meters, you will see on the footage that Phantom deals consistently like 28 out of 30, 29 out of 30, or just straight up 30. But the Vandal hits anything between as low as like 17 out of 25 to 21, 23 out of 25. It becomes incredibly inconsistent. And now think about it this way. The bigger the crosser you have, the more inconsistency you will have with your gun. So unless you're putting your small crosser in the middle of the head at the long range gunfights, where you increase the odds of actually hitting the target, you might be incredibly inconsistent with the Vandal because of the bullet deviation. Now, this is why in Valorant we have the possibility of ADSing. Not many people do ADS though, and it's incredibly important to ADS with both Phantom and Vandal at long range. Phantom gets incredibly precise when you ADS long range, but in most cases you don't have to ADS to like range over 40 meters. With Vandal, you should probably ADS over 30 meters already, which lowers your movement speed and lowers your fire rate. So you get precise, but at the cost of the movement ability and the fire rate, right? So Phantom in general wins also on that regard. It's a more accurate gun in almost every single scenario. And the only worst thing for the Phantom is the damage. So the damage doesn't matter actually up to 15 meters because the damage is the same with the Vandal, but over that, now we have the smaller amount of damage and we don't have the ability to kill someone who is over 30 meters distance with one bullet to the head because it will not deal 150. Right, it will deal 140 on the lower and when someone plays a small shield, then you're gonna of course tap them. But in general, long range, now you have to think about one aspect, and that is, will the person with the Phantom win if he gets the headshot first against the Vandal? And we actually had stats on that as well. When a Phantom and a Vandal player meet, essentially if a Phantom player dinks someone, he still wins 78% of the duels while losing 11% of the duels against the Vandal. So it's 1 out of 10, right? But that's essentially long-range gunfights when the dink doesn't kill the opponent, right? So that's one of the aspects. So is it a big chance actually? Might be considered big, but at the same time, this doesn't take this takes into account all ranks, all kind of skill of players, and it's essentially skewed. But it's still like 11% is not that big of a deal. Right? The third party unresolved, now that's something when it comes to trades, like interrupting you and so on. But remember, like you choose where you play with the Phantom, right? So you can carve your situations into like angles where that damage reduction on the head should not be mattering that much. Now, the thing is that also, now let's take a look at the kill distribution curve. That's something that Riot also shared. And as you can see here on this graph, you're going to have a majority of advantage for the Phantom up to 15 meters. Now, that's obviously like given because the gun is just literally better in every single regard over the Vandal up to 15 meters because it deals lethal damage to the head up onto that range. But then you see it becomes essentially the same at the range of 15 to 20, when the gun doesn't deal as much damage as the Vandal. And then slight reduction for the Phantom, and the Vandal has a slight advantage, but still not that big of a deal. It's like 1.5% benefit for using a Vandal over the Phantom, like over all the ranges. It's not like suddenly everything falls off. So when people tell you, oh, it's preference, and if you're a noob, you should be playing a Phantom because it's easier to spray down and it's just better for spraying, that's a straight up lie. The gun, and this is the most important thing about my video right here. What do I think about that opinion? That's what people always tell you. If you're a noob, if you're a new player to the game, use the Phantom. It's easier to spray down, it's easier to control. And maybe easier to control is a factor because there is smaller spread on the Phantom with the first bullets, and it's easier to reset the accuracy, but not by much because it's 25 milliseconds faster. 25 milliseconds, not 250, 25 milliseconds faster on the Phantom than the Vandal. That is minuscule difference. That's like literally 25 ping difference between you and a player. That's how you should think about it. And all of that is a misconception because in my eyes, Phantom is the expert gun. Vandal is the noob gun. Why? So now think about it this way. I'm going to put it in a spectrum and put myself as an example. I'm a player who is not great mechanically wise. I'm okay, but I'm not better than majority of the players in the lobbies I play. I consistently place between Immortal 1 and 3 every single act. I was Radiant in episode 1, but let's not talk about that because it was much easier back then to get Radiant. And even though I got it in solo queue, it doesn't really matter. But my point is, I reached to Immortal 1 to 3 easily every single season. Now, why do I play Vandal over Phantom even though I think Phantom is better on paper? Because mechanically speaking, I'm worse on average than 8 out of the 10 players in the lobby. Or me being 1, right? So I'm better probably than 1 player in the lobby, mechanically speaking, and worse than 8 other guys in this lobby. So how I'm thinking, how I'm argumenting this is that my aim is not that great to benefit from the advantages of the Phantom because it's harder for me to control the spray and do transfers, and I still have to go for bursts. But if I go for bursts, then I have to have great mechanics to follow up the headshot with a body shot. That requires your perfect control, perfect calmness in aim, and the ability to understand how to essentially position yourself when you have still a follow-up bullet to do. So you're easier to punish. And that's why I think players who have superior aim, if you know that you're better than majority of the players in your lobby, you should go for Phantom. Because then in most of the cases when you're gonna duel people, you're gonna hit the follow-up anyway, headshot, body shot every single time, and you're gonna diff them because you have the better gun. You're firing faster, you can still spray through the smokes, and you can still be a better player because you have all the advantages and not disadvantages of the Vandal essentially. And you can see that also in players. They have this kind of symptom that I call full autoism. Like a disease, you can be diagnosed with full autoism every single time. When you watch players play Phantom, they treat it like it's a Spectre. They have a Phantom, somehow they just crouch and spray, crouch and spray, crouch and spray every single time. That's a mistake. You don't want to spray with a Phantom unless your opponent is literally just 5 meters away from you. You want to spray with the Phantom only at close range. Otherwise, treat it exactly like a Vandal. It's the same gun, just better, and has a suppressor. Once you start thinking about the gun this way, and you're gonna be bursting, because in this game, you go default firing mode is burst, AD, AD, burst, AD, burst, AD, AD, burst, AD. You change your positions, you try to be mobile to not get tapped easily, and you benefit from the burst fire because that's consistent. Spraying in this game is not consistent. The first 6 bullets might be, to some degree, but the rest, they're going RNG. And you can still get lucky, but it's not going to be consistent. And you want to be consistent in ranked. You want to be consistent in pro play. So, in my eyes, the Vandal is just straight up better if you suck at the game, aim-wise. That's why I'm using it. Because I can get lucky against a better player. If I hit a headshot, I don't care. Like, I might just get lucky and kill the better player with him not having a response. If I have a Phantom, and even though I have advantage of better angle, of playing game sense wise better than him, having better utility, if I get a dink, or I hit 4 body shots and it's not lethal, and then the opposing player just one-taps me, I know that it's because of my mechanics. Not because the gun is weaker. It's my mechanics that failed me. I didn't hit a headshot and a body shot follow-up because the second bullet whiffed. The majority of the kills when the Vandal player will kill you back is because you shot more than 1 bullet and only 1 hit, and that was the headshot. Not because you shot 1 bullet, it was a headshot, and then the other player kills you with 1 bullet as well. Pay attention. Like, look at the magazine, look at the clip, look at the numbers of the bullets. When you shoot and you die after dealing a dink, you can replay it, record it, right, with a software or with NVIDIA or whatever, or OBS, and go back and look at it. It turns out that in 99% of those duels, you just didn't hit up the follow-up, but you had the chance. So, in general, that's my opinion about Vandal and Phantom. Objectively speaking, on paper, Phantom is just straight up better. And it doesn't matter if you're on attack or defense, because the accuracy is better. And if the accuracy is better, you have a higher chance to be consistent. You have more bullets, you have more options to use the gun in different scenarios. But the problem is the skill. Get good. If you're mechanically incredible, Phantom is the weapon of choice for you, even long range. If you just suck like I do, go for the Vandal. Go for the ADS holding an angle. Go for that one bullet, kill the player who's better than you, and say, fuck you. You don't have now a counterplay because you're already dead. You're a noob? Vandal. You're an expert gunfighter? Phantom. Poster? Hands. That's essentially how I feel about it. And don't treat Phantom as a Spectre. Try using it as a Vandal. So one more advice to that. Try using guns that feel heavier. So like, for example, on Phantom, Recon Phantom, Sentinels of Light Phantom, or Xenomorph Phantoms are feeling heavier in my hands. So I feel like because of that, I'm a little bit more put into mindset of bursting than using full auto, because it feels like I have a Vandal in my hands. It's a placebo, but I think it works on me, and I think it works on most players, because I spoke with some pro players, I spoke with some content creators, and I gave them advice when it comes to using that, and I saw them play differently when they swap guns. I saw them behave differently with their playstyles when they were using Vandal and they were using Phantom, and I told them, pointed it out. So when they actively thought about it, they started using the Phantom like a Vandal and had a higher chance at winning gunfights. I want you to do the same. I want you to think, when you are better and you have a Phantom in your hands, think about it as a Vandal. Go for the burst. But if you know that your aim is just not that great and the opposing players are probably better than you, go for the Vandal. If you would like to ask me a question and get a live answer, you will find me on Twitch live almost daily. Twitch.tv/LotharHS. You have a link in the description. Just comment, ask me anything, and I'll definitely answer. Bye-bye.